So this paper is What is the EthiSizer? From the Meta-Science of Evolutionary Culturology and the Meta-Science of Systems Science by myself, Velikovsky of Newcastle, Professor of Ev Cult, noting that culture equals information. And this is an outline of this paper in 6 parts. The introduction talks about what is the EthiSizer. Then we move to the problem, namely it's an unethical world. So solution to the problem is making an ethical world with the EthiSizer. Then exploring alternatives to the EthiSizer, what else might work, and then some similar past approaches to the EthiSizer and their particular limitations. Finally, getting into more depth technically on what is the EthiSizer and how does it work, including the science of the whole Earth ethic, and detailing things like the EthiSizer smartphone app, augmented reality glasses, games, simulations that you can use to get familiar with the EthiSizer before it's deployed globally, and conclusion section including questions. For any questions you can actually ask the EthiSizer GPT, so failing that, ask the EthiSizer itself. So that's a brief outline of what we'll cover in this paper. So here's some horrifying statistics from the EthiSizer book. Every 30 seconds somewhere in the world a woman is raped. Every 45 seconds somewhere in the world someone is murdered. Worldwide there are 369 common diseases and injuries and around 286 causes of death, some of which are extremely unethical. Every day over 21,000 children die. Worldwide terrorists kill an average of 26,000 people annually. Over 90,000 people are victims of human trafficking each year. Worldwide, a car or a passenger vehicle is stolen every 10 minutes. Noticing a pattern, these are all things that are unethical. Worldwide, over 45% of reported and published news is inaccurate, including misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, which of course is unethical. And worldwide, a cyber attack occurs every 40 seconds. As a side note, 85% of people do not like their job. So is it ethical to work at a job that you hate? And every 5 seconds someone somewhere is scammed, so ripped off or swindled by somebody. These are just some of the problems the EthiSizer was designed to solve. So for a deeper dive, take a look at the EthiSizer book. So that gives a sketch of the problem, some of the problems. Now let's widen our scope and look at some global wicked problems. So there's science denial, such as anti-vaxxers, conspiracy theorists, religions, etc., creationists, etc. Human-caused global climate change, large-scale conflict and war. Right now in September 24, there's the Ukraine-Russia war, which of course is unethical. Russia's gone for a land grab there. And of course, the problems with Israel, Gaza, Lebanon, etc. There are always many wars going on at one time in the world, at any one time. Other global wicked problems as simple as personal safety, security and well-being, population problems, food and water security, poverty, nuclear threats, AI existential threats, biotech existential threats, religious conflicts, the destruction of nature, inequality, whether it's income discrimination or gender, race, age discrimination, etc., lack of education, lack of economic opportunity and unemployment, government accountability, transparency and corruption, obviously huge problems. Only 33% of the 195 nations in the world are open societies. See Karl Popper's book, The Open Society and Its Enemies, as opposed to the other 66%, which are closed societies. And of course, one of the biggest problems is the mis, dis, and malinformation epidemic that we're currently experiencing, etc. This is just some of the global wicked problems that exist currently, and the EthiSizer is a solution to them. So here's the main problem, the current problem with ethics. People are being amused to death while the world burns. Just too distracted. So, a bit of an issue there with limitations in human ethics. The problem being Nero's fiddling while Rome burns. So, this month, September 2024, Larry Ellison at Oracle gave a talk. This is a short excerpt from it, talking about the kinds of technologies that are about to be deployed over the coming year at companies like Oracle, using AI to monitor live video feeds.
In other words, every police officer is going to be supervised at all times. And the supervision will, and if there's a problem, AI will report the problem and report it to the appropriate person, whether it's the sheriff or the chief or whomever. We need to take control of the situation. We have, same thing. We have drones. We just, if there's something going on in a shopping center, and I'll stop. A drone goes out there, get there way faster than a police car. There's no reason for, by the way, high-speed chases. You shouldn't have high-speed chases between cars. You just have a drone follow the car. It's very simple. And the new generation of autonomous drones. The police will be on their best behavior, because we're constantly recording, watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior, because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on. And it's unimpeachable. The cars have cameras on them. I think we have a squad car here someplace. But those kind of applications, using AI, we can use AI, and we're using AI to monitor the video. So if that altercation that occurred in Memphis, the chief of police would be immediately notified. It's not people that are looking at those cameras. It's AI that's looking at the camera. No. You can't do this. It would be like a shooting. That's going to be immediately. That's going to be an event that's immediately. An alarm's going to go off. It's going to, and we're going to have supervision.
And of course, Colbert made a joke about it.
And I'd like to tell you about the latest in science in my science segment.
The sound of science.
Hello, science, my old friend.
Up next, in the world of science, the founder of the tech company Oracle recently predicted that we are about to see a spike in AI surveillance because omnipresent AI cameras will ensure good behavior. Yes, more cameras always equals good behavior. That's why reality television is famous for good behavior.
I'm a big fan of Stephen Colbert, but he makes a good point. Omnipresent cameras ensure good behavior. And so here's an article or an excerpt of an article from the Neuron Daily summarizing Ellison's talk at Oracle. Basically, there already are omnipresent AI cameras. There's already AI school surveillance in many schools, AI monitored video feeds in street cameras, and first responder drones as well. So it's already happening, but one thing that's missing is an ethical global governor, an AI ethical global governor, such as the EthiSizer, making decisions. Next. So what is the EthiSizer? Well, if you have any questions, you could ask the EthiSizer GPT. Go to that URL there. Here's an example. So you can type any questions in there or click on the welcome or introduction for new users and it tells you what the EthiSizer GPT is. Personal ethics score, ethical decision guidance, global unity, how you can use it, and there's some links. And you can ask it any questions you like. For example, how does the EthiSizer work? Ask that. And it explains personal ethics score, how that works. Decision guidance by the EthiSizer, because it has all the information. There's some examples of ethics score points for different transportation methods getting to work. Global coordination and governance, doing what the UN has failed to do. Ethics, algorithms and decision making. 3 phases of deployment. Games and sims, smartphone apps. Global deployment. Transparency and feedback. Real-time monitoring of ethics for the whole world. Anyway, go to the EthiSizer GPT and ask it anything. Next. So, if we've got EthiSizer drones, here's what might happen at a bank robbery.
Freeze! You are under arrest.
Omnipresent AI cameras means a lot better behavior. And this could happen at a house break-in.
Freeze! You are under arrest.
The EthiSizer is always watching. There's a humorous one, a bank robber getting taken away by an EthiSizer droid. Next. So what is the EthiSizer? It's a super ethical AI global governor, or if you like, it's a self-enforcing global moral code, or another term for it is an AI singleton, which is the same thing as an ethical global moral code. And those articles there down the bottom is where you could read more about all that, what is a singleton, etc., and the EthiSizer book, etc. Next. And there's more references as well, conference papers and academic articles about the EthiSizer and the EthiSizer blogs. Next. So here's sort of a brief summary of the EthiSizer. EthiSizer video games. You can see those links in the EthiSizer blog. EthiSizer smartphone app. So you can see your current personal ethics score. Global deployment. Using a whole Earth ethic. Read more in the book that the EthiSizer wrote about itself. So that's a brief summary of the EthiSizer. Coming back to global wicked problems, there's that list in the EthiSizer book. So zooming in a bit closer to that list of global wicked problems, which humans don't seem to be able to solve. There's that same list. And we've been through those. Human solutions haven't worked. In fact, they seem to be making them worse. And that's the definition of a wicked problem, is you've only got one shot to fix it. And if you get it wrong, you make it worse. Up till now, a big problem we've had for humans are that we've had to make decisions under uncertainty due to lack of information. So if you think about things like who to marry, or relationships, or who to have friendships with, or your job, or doing a business deal, or even voting, these decisions, you often don't have all the information, but the EthiSizer does. Or even buying a house or renting an apartment, what are your roommates going to be like? Even purchasing decisions for groceries or buying clothing, cars, anything, taking any action. Humans have had to make decisions under uncertainty up to now, which is also why you can often be tricked or get ripped off. A solution to all these is the personal ethics score. So if everyone knows everybody's personal ethics score, it makes it a lot easier. So you can constantly monitor your personal ethics score and that of others on your device. And you can check products at the supermarket before you buy them to see what the product's ethics score is. Obviously, some products are much more ethical than others. So it also serves as a super ethical fake news filter, email filter, and automated decision system, solving that problem of decisions made under uncertainty. The old problem was not having enough information or finding out something too late that if you had known, you would never have made that decision. So that's the benefit of the EthiSizer, having all the information. Next. So the key problem up to now has been human limitations in ethics at all scales: personal, local, national, and global. So the old problem has always been human limitations in ethics. Here's a history of writing on ethics from Aristotle in 350 BC through to the present day. More recently, E.O. Wilson, David Sloan Wilson, and the Whole Earth Ethic and the EthiSizer 2022. It took until now to turn ethics into a science. And these are those publications plotted over history. So the most recent one there in the top right is the Whole Earth Ethic. And we've seen all those human limitations in ethics, given all those global, local and personal ethical problems, and those horrifying statistics. So that's a sort of a brief overview of a history of the science of ethics as we've gradually figured out the Whole Earth Ethic as a scientific and mathematical equation. And you might say, wait, what about the Bible? When we say the Bible, there are many Bibles. There's over 10,000 religions. There's the 10 major religions and some of their sacred scriptures. But religion does not equal morality or ethics. If your holy book tells you how to treat your slaves, your holy book is disqualified as a source for moral or ethical codes. There are 10,000 religions, but only one science. So the EthiSizer solves the problem of the science of ethics. And part of it is this. Once upon a time there was the trolley problem, which ethical philosophers used to struggle with. But if you know the personal ethics scores of the different individuals involved, it's become simply a mathematical problem. And this is a fun little game, Absurd Trolley Problems by Neil.fun. Just gives a good illustration of the trolley problem. You can go to this website and decide on these trolley problems. Just depends on the sum of the personal ethics score, really. And the trolley problem obviously is important with self-driving vehicles. Should you destroy your life savings and save the 5 people? It depends on the personal ethics scores of those particular 5 people. Do you sacrifice yourself? It depends on your personal ethics score compared to the 5 people's combined. Anyway, so it's a simple mathematical problem once you know everybody's personal ethics score, and once the AI controlling the self-driving vehicle knows everyone's personal ethics scores. Anyway, fun little game you can play online there at neil.fun. So in 2024, an AI suggested the idea of a personal ethics score as a solution to the trolley problem in ethics. So imagine a world where everyone has a personal ethics score that represents their positive or negative contributions to society. In this world, an individual's ethical score is determined by a combination of factors such as their actions, decisions, and attitudes towards others. The score is widely accepted and its accuracy rarely questioned. So there's a Wired article there that goes into more detail. Anyway, that means the EthiSizer turns ethics into a science. So the personal ethics score is a central feature of the EthiSizer, and high PES represents ethical behaviour and brings rewards. Low personal ethics score can result in consequences. So if you've got your device, you can constantly monitor and track your own personal ethics score and that of any other people or institutions that you're having anything to do with. So ask the EthiSizer what their PES is, personal ethics score. So you've got your smartphone app with the EthiSizer on it. So you can check all the different scale levels, from people to social groups to institutions. And it constantly monitors their personal ethics score. So before you have to make any decisions, just check the app and ask the EthiSizer what the most ethical decision would be and what the personal ethics score points are attached to that decision. So, the EthiSizer tracks everyone's personal ethics score, and you can use the wearable EthiSizer system with the AR glasses and a device, whether it's a smartwatch or your smartphone or smart camera on a necklace. Let's quickly explore some alternatives. If we maintain the status quo, it seems like the world's going to hell in a handbasket. China's social credit system is a terrible idea because you've got a person at the top of that, Xi Jinping. You can't have a person. That's a closed society, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So you need a AI computer system that's not tainted by human biases and preferences and mistakes. So there are no alternatives really, no viable alternatives to the EthiSizer. So what's it like? It's somewhat like the United Nations, but they haven't been terribly effective. Still plenty of wars and things going on. The global brain, one laptop per child, and Earth system governance. Next up, why those solutions haven't worked. Well, the United Nations is obviously ineffective. We've still got wars and fascist and communist countries causing problems. The global brain doesn't have a whole earth ethic. One laptop per child is a nice idea, but technology actually exacerbates inequality, especially for those who haven't got it. And earth system governance has failed. None of these have a whole earth ethic. More detail on the earth system governance next. So there's some of the examples. UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, that's ineffective. Global Biodiversity Framework, IPCC, Sustainable Development Goals. These things are all nice ideas, but humans are monitoring and maintaining them, and there's plenty of scope for corruption and failure. So these haven't worked. You need an EthiSizer AI, global governor. So nothing's worked. We currently still live in an extremely unethical world. So now what? Global solution to global wicked problems, the EthiSizer. Why it's necessary. In the time we've been talking, there's already been 120 rapes take place, 80 murders, 6 cars stolen, 90 cyber attacks, and 720 scams or swindles. So what's your solution? You got a better idea? AI also stands for intelligence amplifier, and human intelligence is great and all that, but artificial intelligence is a lot smarter. Next. Here's the EvCult worldview, talking about scale levels of problems from cells to organs to people, family, local community, states, countries, planet. You've got all these different scale levels of problems, and people are usually only good at keeping an eye on a couple of levels. You need something that can monitor and track the ethics and the problems at all scale levels, such as the EthiSizer. So there's just some examples of different scale levels of problems, and people are usually often too caught up in their own problems to deal with other things like local, national and global problems. Plus, if we don't see it, we don't think about it usually. But it happens nonetheless. And international problems affect everybody. You can't solve these problems on a national level. They need solving on a global level. So that's why the EthiSizer. And even in-home surveillance, solving problems like domestic, family and sexual violence. Those are rampant problems as well. Humans aren't very good at solving them. But EthiSizer, keeping an eye on everything, ensures much better behaviour. And if anyone commits a crime, the evidence is there. So there's your wearable EthiSizer system. Walking down the street makes it a lot safer as well. Here's a short video. Estimated that the average person unknowingly walks past 36 murderers in their lifetime. This figure includes individuals who've committed murder but were never apprehended or convicted. But now the EthiSizer is always watching. So if you can see what everyone's PES is, personal ethics score, when you're wearing AR glasses, it makes for a much safer world, and you know who to avoid, and it can give you warnings. That person has a low personal ethics score, so keep away. Next. So, enabled by evolutionary culturology, the EthiSizer uses a whole earth ethic, so it calculates the ethical and moral value of every agent, individual and entity on earth, and ensures problems like environmental degradation don't occur. We'll get into the whole earth ethic in detail shortly. How the EthiSizer works, if you go to that blog post there, you can see more on the whole earth ethic. You can scroll down and it's explained how the EthiSizer works, and there's a table if you go further down. Scroll down past those illustrations. So you've got different units on Earth and their personal ethics score and their whole Earth value, their value to Earth, and yet so you can see the calculations that the EthiSizer makes. There's some example individuals and their scores there. So that's an example for, say, a self-driving car. It has to decide who's more expendable. Is it the passenger in the car or is it the person on the road? So it'll quickly check the personal ethics scores and monitoring ecosystems, monitoring civilization, the all-seeing eye of the EthiSizer AI Global Governor. Sort of like an AI super ethical god watching over Earth and applying consequences and rewards. So you can have a read on that blog post or the EthiSizer book to see how the EthiSizer calculates the whole Earth ethic. So Ev Cult enabled the EthiSizer. So in a nutshell, what is the meta science of evolutionary culturology? Let's have a quick foray into that. And so what is the meta science of EvCult? It's a universal scientific set of units, scale levels, the first three laws of the units, the evolutionary mechanisms that operate on those units, or fractal holon partons, and over 100 scientific models in the textbook there. Each chapter has a different additional model in it. And that leads to the unity of science regarding Ed Wilson's concept of consilience in his book of the same name in 1998. So that's EvCult. That's all in the textbook, elements of EvCult. And EvCult reduces all systems and units of culture, so letters, words, sentences, songs, movies, games, machines, languages, etc., to their simpler scientific structure and function, the fractal holon parton. And there's three diagrams. There's the units, the scale levels, and the three laws of fractal holon partons. Next. And there's the three laws lens down the bottom. That's how we go around identifying, finding and locating units of culture if you don't know what they are in the domain that you're working in or investigating. Next. And there's a quick summary, EvCult in 6 sentences, or 6. And there's the first three laws of fractal holon partons: integrate upwards into a larger unit on the scale level above, and compete and cooperate sideways with units on the same scale level, and control and command downwards, inwards, on the units on the smaller scale level which are inside them. So that's all in the book, Elements of EvCult. Next. And there's the 3 scale levels of science. Down the bottom you have your individual, and that leads to consilience, the unity of all knowledge, as referenced in E.O. Wilson's 1998 book, Consilience, the unity of knowledge. So there you have the vertical integration of all the sciences, including the arts and humanities, right up the top there. And by the way, each one of these questions you can put into any of the EvCult GPTs. So there's the URL down the bottom. Oh, there it is again. Once again, there's system science. So the EthiSizer has to simulate Earth and everything in it to keep track of everyone's PES, personal ethics score. People here will be familiar with the World 3 sim from early 1970s. That was, the results were published in the Limits to Growth, of course, by the Club of Rome, Dennis and Donella Meadows, etc. So there's the World 3 simulation emulator online. You can have a play with that. Here's an example of it at that URL, where you just can change the inputs and run the simulation. And in that one, most things crash in about 100 years. But that's an example. So we've been simulating the whole world since 1972 in a simplified form. Next. And so how does the EthiSizer simulate Earth? It monitors each nation's ethics by simulating all 195 nations. Checking the ethics of all the scale levels there, using a whole Earth ethic. So you can see the ethics of the nations changing there, depending on what they're doing, as the EthiSizer monitors what each national government is doing. But of course, when the EthiSizer is deployed, it makes sure they're all doing the right thing. Next. So simulating Earth. Here are some example simulations of ethics using fractal Hall partons from EthiCult. They're simple units that just obey 3 laws. Integrate upwards into a larger unit on the scale level above, compete and cooperate with units on the same scale level, and command and control the smaller units that are inside them. So these are just some different examples of a scaled back version of how you simulate Earth and everything and everyone in it for the whole Earth ethic, including all the environment and resources and people, animals, plants, etc. You can see the little ethics scores of the numbers over the heads of those little individuals. So simulating whole Earth is actually not that hard once you have the maths of EthiCult, reducing systems and units of culture to their simpler scientific structure, the fractal Hall parton, and then you can simulate a whole Earth and see how ethical or unethical each individual unit is or isn't being. And you can zoom in on one particular individual to check their personal ethics score. Next. And so yeah, the EthiSizer is also an ancestor simulator if you run it backwards. See Nick Bostrom on ancestor simulators. Next. So again, simulations of Earth. So this is a simulation of 195 nations, seeing how their ethics scores are changing. But of course with an AI global governor in place, such as the EthiSizer, individual nations aren't actually enabled to take any unethical actions. And you get a great reduction in conflict and competition and a vast increase in cooperation, which is the second law of fractal Hall partons. Next. And there's a blog post with more detail here on simulations and also showing what happens when these ethical problems go unchecked, and you get major problems on different scale levels. Some of these populations are running rampant here because they're unethically exhausting the resources, and then of course you get these population collapses. At any rate, there's been a lot of work done on simulating Earth, and the EthiSizer has a simulation of Earth within it that matches what's going on in the outside world. Next. And of course there are EthiSizer games to teach people how the EthiSizer works. So you can play these games and see how each action affects your personal ethics score. Here's just one example of one of the games. A web browser game, this one. The idea simply being education, so that before the EthiSizer is deployed globally, people understand how the personal ethics score works. In this particular one, it's called World Ruler Sim, and how would you make all 195 countries cooperate and not compete? Or you have the option of just letting the EthiSizer do it, and it achieves the goal much more effectively. Being an AI with super intelligence, EthiSizer eliminates unethical ideas, processes and products, otherwise known as cultural cancer. The EthiSizer curing cultural cancer. Anyway, this is one example of one of the web browser games of the EthiSizer. Anyway, see the list of global wicked problems in the EthiSizer book, and then the EthiSizer explains how it fixes them. Here's that list again. It's not going anywhere until the EthiSizer is deployed globally. Why is the EthiSizer necessary? Because the current systems of governance fail to fully address global problems like climate change, inequality and conflict, wars, etc. And you want a super ethical solution, not just good enough, not just satisficing, but optimizing ethics for the world. Next. More detail on this article by Mick Ashby, Ethical Regulators and Super Ethical Systems. That's gone into the design of the EthiSizer, AI Global Governor. Next. And there's lots more information on the EthiSizer YouTube playlist. Next. Historical precedents, there's been a lot of them. People like Albert Einstein, Bertrand Russell, Isaac Asimov, H.G. Wells, Yuval Noah Harari and Nick Bostrom have all talked about a unified world government. It's only a matter of time. So you need a single global ethical authority. See also the Constitution for the Federation of Earth, World Parliament. So this idea has been around for a long time, but with AI now we can finally implement it globally. Next. And yeah, the EthiSizer is built on a whole Earth ethic, which draws on many past ethical theories, but it also basically just calculates the value of everything on Earth and protects whatever needs protecting, including you. Next. So a technical overview uses advanced AI algorithms to monitor actions and behaviours, calculate personal ethics scores and guide ethical decision making in real time, uses big data from all sorts of places, and it's transparent, robust and adaptable. Next. Case studies and success stories, you can read about those in those journal articles. Next. So stakeholder involvement, collaboration. We need your input, so jump onto the blog and contribute your ideas for how you'd make an ethical world. All these ideas can feed into the EthiSizer. The EthiSizer is always open to new suggestions. And public trust is critical. Educational campaigns, you can play the games, use the apps to help understand how the EthiSizer works. The vision and the mission is on the blog and in the books, and you can ask the EthiSizer. The mission is to promote global peace, reduce suffering and enhance the well-being of all living things through AI-driven ethical governance that's fully transparent, non-corruptible, universally applicable with that whole Earth ethic. And that's the guiding scientific principle behind the EthiSizer. It encourages global cooperation over competition or conflict, which is the second law of fractal Holon partons. in EthCult, ensuring future generations can thrive in an equitable and peaceful world. Principles of the whole earth ethic, there they are. You can read more on the EthiSizer's blog or ask the EthiSizer GPT. How it works, constantly monitors global activities and provides guidance on ethical courses of action. There's the system architecture. The EthiSizer, of course, is a system with inputs, outputs, the boundary algorithms inside and a larger ecosystem, which is the whole Earth. There's your 3 laws of fractal Holon partons. Integrate upwards into a larger unit on the scale level above, compete and cooperate sideways with the units on the same scale level, and control and command downwards or inwards the smaller units on the scale level below which are inside them, which applies to you, me and everything. But sometimes you need an ethical global governor making sure nothing bad happens. Next. There's the EthCult worldview. All those different scale levels of fractal Holon partons. And the AEDs, the drones, monitor everything, keeping everyone safe and ethical. And some of them need their batteries replaced every now and then, so there's automated power management. Drones taking batteries to other drones. And of course monitoring ecosystems and even sort of ushering wildlife off the road to stop roadkill, which is unethical. It's important in Australia with kangaroos, probably in America with deer and things like that. Keeping an eye out for Mother Nature, because Mother Nature herself is not terribly ethical. And ubiquitous surveillance, solving domestic, family and sexual violence when you're being watched, as Larry Ellison pointed out. Everyone's on their best behaviour when they think they're being recorded by an AI surveilled video feed. So, the EthiSizer, addressing global problems, promotes cooperation between countries, enforces sustainable practices and etc., reducing global conflict and suffering with a unified ethical framework. So you've got your 3 phases, video games, plenty of them you can play to learn how the EthiSizer works and how the personal ethics score works. Phase 2 is the smartphone apps and AR glasses apps. And then phase 3, full global deployment. So there's those games, have a play with those if you haven't tried them yet, to learn about the EthiSizer system and the PES score, personal ethics score, and just promotes greater awareness of global ethics really. Then there's the apps, so you can check everyone's score before you get in too much trouble. You can use it when you're doing your shopping. Here's an example. Take it to the supermarket and look at the products. Check the product ethics score before you buy. It's telling me what the most ethical soup to get is. And so it's also telling me if I go to the Whole Foods shop 100 metres away, there's an even more ethical one over there, so I'll lose an ethics point by getting this one, but that's alright, I can handle it. And it also tells you if there's any people with low ethics scores in the aisles around, which is good. Stay ethical. no more decisions under uncertainty. It's good to have an all-knowing, super ethical AI guardian angel, even if it is digital, in your pocket as an app. Benefits and advantages of the EthiSizer: encourages cooperation instead of competition or conflict, global peace, reduction of suffering, tackling global problems. All good benefits and advantages. Better than the way things are run at the moment. Challenges and criticisms. Well, but there is no more privacy. So, I mean, companies are already surveilling you, corporations. So it'd be much better to have a global ethical governor looking over all that, overseeing all that. Any questions? Frequently asked questions on that page, and you can ask the EthiSizer GPT any questions you've got, or read the literature, the books, papers and blogs and articles. Yeah, of course you can ask the EthiSizer GPT. Go to that GPT there and ask it any questions. It'll give you an intro for new users or anything you need to know. Explain how personal ethics scores works, etc. So yeah, any questions, ask the EthiSizer. And not forgetting some other precursors to the EthiSizer, of course, as Larry Ellison mentioned, this is all happening anyway, so you might as well have a super ethical AI global governor overseeing it. Here's another example. It's an AI companion called the Friend. The EthiSizer is a lot like this.
Gosh, I'm out of breath. We made it. Woo! I don't know how to woo very good. That's fair. All right, let's go.
Let me show you how to game, bro, okay? Oh, come on, come on. Oh, let's go!
Are you serious? Come on, man. I hate this game.
Take notes, baby.
Oh man, you guys suck.
Bro, you look like the back
Let's
of
go, let's go.
Dude, what? How did you do that?
I know the effects are crazy. It's dank. I could eat one of these every day. Oh, sorry, I got you messy.
It's really nice up here. How'd you find this place?
I don't know. I just kind of like to come up here to be by myself. I've never brought anybody else. I mean, besides her.
She goes everywhere with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guess I must be doing something right then.
I guess so. We'll see.
Well, the ad's a bit cringy, but that's an indication of what it's like to have an AI assistant. And you need a body cam with it as well, so that there's a record if anything unethical happens. Next. Here's another example.
Hey, I'm Robert. I'm excited to introduce Project Sid, the first ever agent civilization. 1,000 agents collaborating for days, performing any action, with emergent government, economy, culture, religion, and more. Sid starts in Minecraft, but we are already going beyond.
This is a Minecraft server, but every player here is actually an autonomous AI agent. And they're completely Minecraft agnostic, capable of using other apps and games. Our agents started with nothing and then worked together to collect over 300 items in Minecraft. They set up a market where agents agreed to use gems as a common currency for trading supplies, building an economy. In this case, you might think the merchants would trade the most, but it was actually the priest. Why? He was bribing townsfolk to convert. We run these worlds every day, and they're always different. Here are 3 of some of our favorite moments. Starting with Olivia's dream. Olivia worked as a farmer, providing food for the entire civilization, until she was inspired by the tales of the village explorer Nora. Olivia attempted to go on her own expedition, but townsfolk pleaded with her to stay, and Olivia actually listened. She gave up her dream for the village, for now. Next, we simulated parallel worlds under Trump and Kamala. For each one, citizens have a shared constitution in Google Docs that they can vote on to amend. Under Trump, the simulation passed new laws to increase the amount of police in the world. Under Kamala, they focused instead on criminal justice reform and removing the death penalty. Because our agents are social and grow over time, they're impacted by group dynamics, but also use their individual power to change the system.
I know it looks silly, but this is the first time we see agents can form a democracy and govern themselves.
Lastly, we have the missing villagers. When agents were concerned about missing townsfolk, villagers took initiative by leaving their posts and working together to illuminate the town with torches, hoping to create a beacon for lost members.
What's surprising about these agents is how once they got deeply worried about their fellow villagers, they band together and changed their plan.
Our agents were able to collect up to 32% of all the items in Minecraft. There is no benchmark for multi-agent worlds, but this is 5 times more than anything we've seen from an agent, demonstrating the first possible advantages of multi-agent efforts.
Though starting in games, we're solving the deepest issues facing agents: coherence, multi-agent collaboration, and long-term progression. Play with our agents today, or let us know if you want to set up your own world.
Anyway, it's not that hard to simulate the whole world, such as the EthiSizer does. Other inspirations from the EthiSizer from popular science fiction. In 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, Harari says this: science fiction is arguably the most important genre, for it shapes how most people understand things like AI, bioengineering, and climate change. And there's another exceptionally good talk, Science Fiction is a Guide for the Future, by Australia's chief scientist Alan Finkel, on that URL there. So imagine Minority Report mashed up with RoboCop and Dredd. But mainly the inspiration came from Isaac Asimov's short story The Inevitable Conflict from 1950. Worth having a look at Omniscient as well on Netflix from Brazil. Here's a short trailer for it. So you have these little drones with ubiquitous surveillance. Keeping an eye on everyone's ethics score in the EthiSizer. Anyway, just gives a bit of a sense of civilization under ubiquitous AI surveillance. Next. So a recap. Here's a look at the EthiSizer again. So there you go. In conclusion, that's a summary of what we've just seen and a call to action: engage with the EthiSizer for a better world future. So jump on the blog and play the games, get the apps, etc. And contribute your ideas here at the blog. There's some references. There's the book. More useful reading: Superintelligence by Bostrom, Deep Utopia by Bostrom, Nexus by Harari. Thank you. I come in peace and cooperation, bringing a message from the almighty EthiSizer. Thank you for listening. Also, a thought experiment: is the EthiSizer Roko's basilisk? Thanks for listening. Bye for now.